West Coast?
East Coast mainly.
All right, we are live. Ready to rock? Richard, take us away.
Okay, welcome guys to Friday's Wind Down. Looking forward to today's show. We got some great guests coming on all the way from the UK. So how are we guys? Everyone's good? Everyone's had a good fortnight?
Yeah.
You darn good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Hey, listen, all this technology stuff, I'm just getting my head around a lot of this, but I think that during the week I saw a little note that there's around about 1,750 people who have been listening to or watching this little webinar. So is that correct, guys?
Yeah, and or even more. We had a record of 1,500 that watched one of our episodes. So yeah, we've had quite a few. We've got 8 people online right now.
Wow, that's fantastic. Welcome along if you're watching. I know that there's a couple of guys who are traveling on the in vehicles today that have texted me and said, hey, listen, we're waiting, we're watching. So listening, sorry, not while they're driving. So listening as they're driving along. So we're not going to be, we take no responsibility if you're watching while you're driving, guys.
Please
But yeah. Hey, look, that's really cool.
Unless you want to see JT's new haircut, then look briefly because it is looking sharp today.
Yeah, that's really cool. And Megan, you know, she's been out in the jungle today.
I've been up to the next Tiger King. So yeah. I'm just kidding.
No, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Well, let's go around the traps. Let's see what's been happening. You know, JT, you've been in contact with a few people around the world, I believe, and we might touch base with Megan and see what's going on in NZ. But JT, let's start with you, mate. There's a lot of stuff happening in Victoria at the moment. I believe the doors are open down there. Is that correct?
I don't think they're officially open.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think they actually open until the 8th or 9th. They've got a date, so that's good. Regional will be a little bit earlier than that. I have seen a number of posts of people obviously not being happy with that still being closed until that date. So that's incredibly frustrating for them. It's a funny old place, that place they call Victoria, isn't it?
Well, mate, it is. Look, I mean, everybody that I've been talking to down that way is absolutely just fuming mad, I guess is probably the way to put it. You know, there was talk that they were going to open and allow 20 people in the fitness centres. 20 people? Are you joking? Why
no,
would you open
that's still, it's 20 people, Richard, for a, I think they've called it a space, whatever that space may in fact be. I think it's actually, I read somewhere where it's like 1 person per 8 square meters, which is like nothing anywhere else in the world I've heard of that space.
Yeah, look, I think, mate, I think our, you know, the voice in Victoria is not loud enough. Maybe the voice in all of Australia is not loud enough for these politicians to hear. You know, is it only fitness centres that are going to be the culprit of spreading this COVID, or, you know, I mean, my goodness gracious, it's just crazy.
And
It is 1 per 8, and then it's also they've got to have COVID marshals in Victoria. I just saw still.
So we're, like in New South Wales, we're still supposed to have COVID marshals, and I was in the gym this morning, and in between my sets, when I was filling in time, I counted how many people were on the gym floor, and there was like 45 people on the gym floor and no COVID marshal.
wow.
Which of course is in theory illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But what does the gym do? Like, it's just so, I don't know.
Unsustainable. Well, if you've got 20 in, you know, 8 in that sort of space, it's so small for those huge gyms. It's like, plus you've got COVID marshals, plus there's no profit. There's nothing left.
Oh, what do you mean? What's this thing, Eddie, that you call profit?
Yeah, true. Exactly right. It's actually not fun. I mean, we're laughing, but I wouldn't be laughing. It was my gym.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm laughing because we're actually getting kickstarted and everything's starting to move again. And we've got momentum. So, I mean, if 2 months ago I wouldn't have laughed at that, but it's looking like there's light at the end of the tunnel right now, which is great.
And I guess, too, guys, like, I mean, we've been through a winter and we're coming into that summer month, so traditionally, like as far as flus and colds go, we really don't have that many through this period, I guess. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, but I would hate to be like in Europe or in those countries where they're actually starting to come into the winter months. I know that a lot of places are going back into lockdown, and it's pretty scary. We're starting to see riots happening in countries, because they're going to be forced back into lockdown. But let's hope that as we go through our summer, that we can come up with, or somebody can come up with, some sort of concoction that's going to stop this thing from spreading or whatever.
I'm just imagining some witch around a cauldron at the moment, just putting a concoction together, and we'll dish it out in little cups to people.
Yeah, correct. But
Can I just say also, there was an F45 club here in Sydney that I think 24 hours ago that they said people needed to self-isolate for a week. So somebody went into that club, we're assuming purely innocently to work out, and they did something like 11 or 12 workouts in that club, obviously not working out hard enough if you can do 2 F45 classes in a day.
No, that's, ooh.
But, I think I heard on the radio like 75 to 90 people that they may have come in contact with in that gym. Like how F45 Leppington is going to come out of this, that's going to be our biggest challenge, I think, for our industry. Is well, it doesn't matter whether it's a restaurant, hair salon, pub, bar, or gym. When you've been publicly named, as the media should, it's going to be really hard for people to bounce out of that. And I can just imagine that's going to be the next step in Victoria as we're going through in New South Wales. That'll be the next thing that owners are going to have to deal with.
I've got Mel, speaking of Victoria, just messaging me saying, can she jump on? She's got a story she wants to share. So can we let Mel in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Look, and while Mel's coming in, look, interestingly, JT, guys, let's look at what happened at our Casula Way, Western Sydney, when, the outbreak sort of happened there at Crossroads. And those gyms have come out of it, I think, okay. It'd be interesting to see what the numbers were of those gyms that were the centres that were affected out there, JT. So that's a good point. Maybe I could contact those guys and find out, what they did to come out of that and how their membership has gone. That's probably maybe something that might be interesting for the next for our next session.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be it's a major factor because we've got to live with this, and I think every gym's going to have this come up in operation, literally in operation, that you might need tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, that's correct. And they'll need to put together procedures or whatever if it does and when it does, kind of happen. And that's a good point. Something that we haven't really touched on and looked at in the past. But I think you're right. What are the procedures? What do they need to do as these things roll out? But anyway, listen, we've got Mel online now. So g'day, Mel. How you going?
Good, thank you. Can you guys see me okay now? Yep.
Yeah, look like you're in your gym, are you?
I'm in the gym, but I can hear you on Facebook, if that makes sense. So I had you guys talking 3 or 4 times. I won't keep you long. I appreciate this. Here's a little story for you all. As you know, we opened on Wednesday, and we opened with the belief of what Dan Andrews told us on Sunday. 20 to a venue like mine, have all your procedures in place, booking apps, etc., etc.
Mel, is that 20 in the entire club or 20 in your group fitness?
20 in that club.
What?
So even in your, wow.
Mm.
Mel, how many square meters is there in your club?
1,500 square meters, give or take a little bit.
So that's like, what's that, 1 per 300 square meters?
Something stupid, yeah. Pretty much so. Pretty much so.
A quarter of what you would be able to normally do.
Sorry?
Not even a quarter of the amount of people that you would normally be.
No,
bring
no,
in.
no. So what we did was we just divided our club up. So like, I mean, you guys can't see it, but you know, 7 to that weights area, 7 to that weights area, 6 to the cardio area. Now here's something for you. Of that 20, if I run a group fitness class with 10 people, that 10 people are included in that 20.
The fuck?
Whoa.
And they're in a completely different room because your group fitness is not even near your cardio or your strength.
Right, here comes the next bit. So we've all opened on Wednesday, spent lots of money on what you do. And so yesterday we start hearing we've got to have COVID marshals in our club. So of course we all start ringing Business Victoria. I ring the state MPs. I ring Business Victoria and they say you don't need a COVID marshal. So then I say to some other club owners who live in other regional areas, can you please ring as well? You don't need a COVID marshal. You don't need a COVID marshal. We don't need a COVID marshal, all right? The fitness industry was not listed on the DHHS website as an industry that needed COVID marshals. In the public health order, at the same time, in the public health order, yes, we were. In the industry guidelines, gets better. In the industry guidelines, no, we weren't. All right, so everyone's trying to do what they can do. Today, we were given, and I'm more than happy to email it across to you guys, the industry guidelines that say we now require a COVID marshal, 1 COVID marshal per 10 people in your club. So if you're a 24/7 club, you're now required, as per what Sydney was earlier on, to have a COVID marshal. We're told this on Friday. We opened our clubs on Wednesday. So a lot of clubs have gone out and marketed as a 24/7 club or extended hours. You know how it goes, blah, 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 blah. So at the moment, you've got a really lot of pissed off regional club owners in Victoria. Still no financial support from government, but they've just announced that they're going to be injecting funds into tourism. They've already injected funds into hospitality to help them have outdoor settings. And nationally, as you know, events was given a large sum of money also. So that's pretty much how it looks for us at the moment. I feel I'm in a different situation to other people, but for some clubs, it's better for them to stay closed as opposed to opening. Some clubs have frozen their memberships, meaning they haven't turned on their direct debits, but they've got they're charging their members casual visits. Personal opinion, I think that's a bad business decision. I think if you're going to open your club, you need to turn your direct debits on, give the members a discount because you're controlling the member as opposed to the casual visit. Will they come? Will they not come? Will they go somewhere else? Yeah. So I know from the amount of people that have joined my club in the last 24 hours, they've come from clubs that were charging casual visits and weren't turning their direct debits on.
Mel, are your members booking in?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, they click on the Genesis app, they pick the area. So let's just say you wanted to jump on the treadmill. So you get on, Justin picks cardio and he's booked in for an hour on the cardio. If he wants to do the red weights area, it's because it's got red upholstery, he books into the red area. The blue weights area, blue upholstery, he books in there. We're still doing Facebook Live classes and running outdoor boot camps. On Monday, I start my group fitness timetable and I'm probably doing 90% of the classes. So what I'll do is, yeah, I know. So what I'll do is I'll also keep the Facebook Live classes happening for those that can't get in. And we got permission from Business Victoria yesterday because I built on, and this might help other people who are watching, because I built on a 250 square meter room a couple of years ago, I can pull a roller door down from the gym to that venue, and people can enter through the car park and exit through the car park. So I can now run my functional training classes as well as my outdoor classes, and run my cycle classes in that zone, and get creative with my group fitness. Because group fitness people have been spoilt through lockdown with the Facebook Live classes. Gym members have not been spoilt at all. So the priority is for me to get my gymmies in and just to get creative with the Facebook and the functional training zone at the back.
So how many will you be able to have at a time, Mel, with all of those? I mean, you're quite lucky by the sound of it that you've obviously got a huge space there.
I can have the biggest space in the world right now, but I can only have 20 people.
It is.
Now, if you pull that roller shutter down, can you get 20 into your functional space in addition to the 20 in the other part of the club?
So
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Is that 40?
Yeah.
Mel, can I say, can you go out and get, let's call it portable walls, and put into the centre and say zone it off?
It's in the guidelines, so the answer to that is no.
Okay. Is there any?
They've even got how in the guidelines. Sorry, Richard. Even in the guidelines, they've even got the height of the wall and everything.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Is this the 21-page thing that I'm looking at?
There's three things that are floating around at the moment. There's your DHHS information, there's the public health order information, and then there's the industry guidelines that came out today. And
Yeah,
I'm not being nasty when I say that, but industry guidelines for an industry that's self-regulated.
Yeah, that's this one.
Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie's all over this. She's great. Look, she's.
No, I'm not. I just
on
been
this.
looking at it.
But I mean, if I was in the industry, right, and I had to go through and decipher all this, doesn't that add merit to one organisation? I've got to say this: one bloody organisation, right? And I say this strongly because it frustrates the heck out of me to hear all of this. That somebody goes out and says, in leadership, Daniel Andrews or whoever the organisation is, what are the facts, and this is what we're going to do.
But
Does
I
that
think,
add weight to that, JT?
Richard, I think in fairness, there is, as Mel said, there's one industry lot of guidelines that have come out. Whether they're right or wrong is irrelevant. There's one industry guideline. The problem is that those guidelines don't match what Dan Andrews says, which doesn't match what the Department of Health matches.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, JT. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But what I'm saying is, shouldn't the government come to one body and say, guys, these people here all funnel into one place, and there's one body, whatever it's called, right, deciphers all of that information. So I'm not going to Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mr. Daniel Andrews for an answer.
But there's also the issue that they're treating one industry that is so different on so many different types of facilities as one. Like, you cannot call the fitness industry one model. There's huge gyms, there's boutique gyms, there's PT studios, there's wellness centres.
Correct. Remember when New South Wales...
Sorry, Richard. Edwina, those guidelines that you've got right now, in it says a bar studio needs to have a COVID marshal.
It's just crazy. And I'm just sort of
and
it's also incredibly detailed.
It's
at this point of stress that everyone's under, can we not simplify it?
Simplify it. I think the problem is that Dan Andrews would have been better off saying absolutely nothing on Sunday and should have got his shit together. But in saying that, we need to ask ourselves, he ticked off a COVID management plan that none of us as gym operators or any other fitness business professionals actually got to oversee. So he's obviously gone in there and picked the things that they liked, but didn't tell us on Sunday, but ticked it, and then waited till we opened our doors on Wednesday Then there was everything was happening. Nobody knew what was going on come Thursday. And now Friday, here we are. Everyone's prepared for their business week next week. And they've gone, this is what you have to follow. Oh, by the way, they updated the coronavirus website last night also, and the DHHS website last night. So it took what, till Friday to get your shit together, but you told us last Sunday to open on Wednesday. So I feel he was just appeasing the industry by going, you guys can open, make your own decisions, and I'll let you know sometime during the week what you really got to do.
Yeah.
Fairly disrespectful, Mel. Fairly disrespectful to the industry.
Yeah, it is. But that's our fault too. That's our fault too, in a way. Yeah, it is, because I feel, and I've been very strong about this over the last few weeks, I respect all the associations that are doing something. They've worked really hard, but there was never really any gym operators sitting down with them to say, okay, I'm a gym operator. I like what you're saying there, but can you think about it from my point of view? Because I've been stressing for weeks, can someone just let me sit down with someone that is putting this together to present to government? And let me tell you that some of these things, you think they're great, but when it comes to putting them into practice, it's not. So you think about, we put a pump class on at 5 o'clock, right? And then at 5:30, I've got to wait another 15 minutes for everybody to clear before I can start the next class. Why? Because the virus is in the air. It's going to be there anyway, whether I wait the 15 minutes or not. The cleaning of equipment, that comes down to the responsibility of the trainer to educate the participant that they have to wipe their equipment down. Hey, let's not run classes with equipment. Why
So
can't
Mel,
we-
I mean, then again, you know, there's a whole raft of issues that are associated with this. You know, like some of the medical advice is that, you know, it stays in the air for, you know, hours. Then there's, what about the sweat that's on the ground? What about sweat that's on the equipment? You know, how do we deal? And we'll go back to before New South, when we first started this, you know, surely to goodness we've now come up with some guidelines around this. You know, is Victoria's COVID any different to New South Wales COVID or New Zealand's COVID? Can't we learn from those things that have actually happened? You know, these.
Yeah, I agree.
There've been a couple of chains that have had cases in there and nothing spread. So it just doesn't even, it doesn't make sense.
Correct, Eddie. Correct. You know, you're right.
I'm 90% sure, and I can't say 100 because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure those industry guidelines were written by club owners in New South Wales. I think while Victoria was closed at the time that they had a working party, I want to say it was a working party as the best description, to help put those guidelines together, because I know some owners that were showing those guidelines in the first draft and then sent them back to Fitness Australia to get updated because they were too onerous, because they were the initial guidelines set by the New South Wales Health Department. So the New South Wales Health Department went, these are your guidelines. That landed in the hands of club owners and they went, we can't operate like that. We'll just stay closed. So then they negotiated them a little bit and then a little bit more. And then that ended up becoming the guidelines in New South Wales. I don't know the Victorian ones, Mel, so I can't make comment on that. But I think that was the process in New South Wales.
Yeah, I mean, I've physically, I have seen the COVID plan that was presented to them, and I know that they have to give government choices, but there's some choices in there that I wouldn't have given government.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of lessons to be learnt or examples that we can kind of work off from New South Wales, I guess, and probably New Zealand. I don't know whether New Zealand has had too many cases that have, you know, contamination, if you want to call it. I don't know what, you know, in fitness centres, but certainly New South Wales, you know, we've had a couple. How have they dealt with it? How have they, you know, has it been good? Has it been bad? You know, like maybe there should be a debriefing in the industry of these centres that have actually had it, you know, or cases have come through there.
Mel, what are you finding with some of the other? I know you've been in contact with a lot of the other businesses in Victoria. You know, where are they all sitting with it now this week? You know, on today sort of thing.
Very stressed. A lot of them, some of them are going to open up their clubs 24/7, and
With marshals,
without marshals, and just plead ignorant. And I understand that as a club owner, especially after you've built that hype up that your club's going to open on a Wednesday, and I understand their mentality of thinking like that. A lot of these clubs aren't going to open again in 2021. I doing a lot of hand holding at the moment, and probably taken on too much in terms of trying to help people out. Yesterday, I spent over 4 hours ringing MPs. I rang the Premier's office. I rang, the opposition. I've just done so much groundwork, and it's really hard when you speak to your state MP. And I just did it before again and said, now they're telling us this, and this, and they're like, what are you talking about? What, they don't even know themselves what's going on. And it's just like, oh my God. And I have to go back and say to these club owners, I've rang the Premier's office, I've rang the state MP, I've rang the opposition, and everybody's going, what? And nobody knows. So how does that give them confidence in the government? Like they feel really left alone at the moment. There's no financial assistance. We had one of our members works for Esther OO, and she said one of the biggest hidden secrets at the moment is the amount of suicides that they are attending on a daily average. She said every single day they are going to at least 2 suicides in Ballarat.
Wow.
just in Ballarat.
And she said it's from isolation. Keeping in mind, though, Edwina, she's on the OO, so it could be outside of Ballarat as well. But she said, from isolation, they're finding people are gassing themselves. And she mentioned a few other things. And as I think I mentioned to someone, maybe on this show, I can't remember the other week, we run a veterans program here and they were exempt. So they were actually able to come in and do their workouts throughout lockdown.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
It is cool. But the downside to that is that they're only coming in and seeing their EP. And then if they're lucky, they pass another veteran. Sad part is we actually had one of them that tried to take his own life a couple of weeks ago because of the isolation factor. He was only seeing people here, which included us, his EP, and maybe another veteran. And he's just gone home, isolation the whole bit and tried to take his own life. So there's a lot of these untold stories that a lot of people aren't hearing. It's going to take a long time for a lot of people to recover from this, a long, long time.
And
I did hear someone say a few months ago that when Dan Andrews got out every day to trot out how many COVID cases and how many deaths from people who passed away from COVID, that he should also have a third number, which is how many suicides as a result. And I thought, that's pretty morbid, but that, you don't even know. You would assume he would be being told those numbers, but it's just so gut wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, I pick up, this sounds really morbid, but I read the Ballarat Courier every Saturday and I read the death notices, and you can usually pick up those situations by what people are writing in the death notices. So yeah, it's really quite sad. And, the best thing that we can do as fitness business professionals is listen to what people have got to say, try and help them out. If you can't help them out, point them in the right direction, try and give them resources and tools to help them out in their business. Ursa had a great resource toolkit, which, I've sent out to everybody. But it's going to be a long journey for some people to get back on track.
So from the people you've been speaking to, from what I'm gathering, you're speaking to them more about mental health stuff than actually business strategies at this point. Is it literally
mental health and finances? And a lot of people keep saying to me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm like, You can't follow what Mel does. You need to adult, and you need to make the phone calls and find out the information yourself. So yesterday was a situation where everybody was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do at the COVID marshals? What are you going to do about 24/7? You need to ring Business Victoria yourself, and you need to make the decision yourself, because my decision is what's right for me, but it might not be right for your business.
I reckon that's the best advice.
Yeah, look, and guys, you know, look, the last couple of days, you know, I've had some phone calls from guys down in that area, and my advice to them is, you know, if you've got financial issues, go and talk to your bank. Try and sort something out with them. You know, we've led some people to some organisations, you know, so some banks, you know, and they've been told to, you know, to start to loosen their purse strings, you know, the government's got to got the banks on the go, you know, they realise that if they want the economy to move forward, that the banks have got to start opening up as well, you know. It's a double-edged sword there. The other thing is go and talk to people, like, and this has been part of my background is that energy efficiency, but go and talk to people about, you know, how you can actually look at saving your money. I mean, Mel, I don't know if you left your refrigerators on throughout the close down and go and so forth, but cut back where you can cut back. If you don't need to have drinks, don't have drinks. Refrigeration uses electricity, go and so forth. You know, so look at ways where you can actually save money. You know,
it does feel like we're going to need like a real bailout for that whole state, though. Like, what are we going to do for Victorian businesses?
I can tell you, Mel, talking to people around Australia in the fitness industry, they're all feeling for you and they want to help in whatever way they can. But you know, it's bloody difficult, honestly.
It is difficult. I'll give you an example of something. I rang the bank the other week and I said this is true story. I wanted to pay out a bank loan. I was in a situation where I could pay out a bank loan. You know what the bank manager said to me? Don't pay it out.
In case.
Don't pay it out. Keep your cash, because 2021 is going to be an interesting year. Don't pay it out. And they dropped the interest rate on the loan. So there's something for anybody that's watching now. If you've got a business loan or an overdraft, you need to pick up the phone and just say to them, hypothetically, my interest rate right now is 4.4%. What are you going to do for me to keep my business? Make sure that
100%.
Yeah. So on this particular business loan, I got my interest rate dropped from 4.4% down to 2.3.
I got mine down to 2.5 today in Queensland.
See?
Wow.
Well done, guys. That's awesome.
And all it takes is picking up the phone, but also, like you said, just on everything. And I think, Mel, one of the biggest things that we've learned from gym owners through this is really looking at all of our different expenses. I've never gone through the numbers in this kind of detail that I have now. So coming out of this, I've really looked at any way that I can save money. We are. So there's also that benefit that moving forward, where everything is much tighter, and I understand the ins and outs of my business like I've never done before, because we've been forced to.
Les Mills, kudos to Les Mills. Les Mills have told Victorian club owners they don't have to pay license fees for the rest of the year.
Awesome. So Mel and JT, with your round tables, are you structuring some extra stuff for your Victorian members, like doing something separate, or is that something you're considering, or how are we going to kind of, from an
For me at the moment, I'm just doing what I can when people message me. The round tables and the podcasts I put on the back burner. I feel I'm more help to everybody at the moment on the phone each day and doing that one-on-one, or I've got a couple of groups running and I'm just doing that stuff.
What about
next year is a different year. Yeah.
JT, what about you? Has that been a... No?
Not really. Same as Mel. It's mainly phone calls.
Yeah.
I think...
Guys,
I think Mel would probably admit this as well, but in the situation that the Victorian clubs are in, they're very the owners are far more comfortable having a one-on-one conversation. Put them in a group, and it's got to have a pretty deep level of trust in that group for someone to open up, and hear the brutal facts of the business. So
can we do a little advert here? Can we say, if you guys are comfortable in doing this, can we put some email addresses out there, or maybe might be better email addresses than actual phone numbers? Because I mean, JT, I mean, you've got to say, mate, we don't want to be hit up with all these girls, you know, like ringing us and saying, hey, listen, what are you doing on Friday night? But you know what I mean?
I think my phone might not ring at all, Richard.
Competition. He's got a new haircut, so
yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You know, look how sharp he looks. You know, like I mean, you might be driving along in a car and you listen to this podcast, but hey, listen, JT's looking pretty sharp. But maybe we put some emails out there and let's, you know, is that acceptable, guys? Are you guys comfortable in doing that?
I'm happy for everyone to get in touch with you guys, because this is your show, and I feel that I've got my hands full now with probably quite a few operators. So if anybody's watching, get in touch with these guys, because I know their stuff and they'll definitely help you out.
Yeah, great, Mel. Look, and I think the other thing is too, Mel, we're talking about the here and now. What about your members coming back? How do they feel? You know, you engage with them, and what's the real life talk from those guys? Are they scared about coming back? Is there reservation, hesitation?
We've had a really good, so we obviously gave them the option to opt out for 4 weeks. We've had a very low percentage take that up. So at the moment, I think we were, please don't quote me on this, but I think we were sitting at around 16 or maybe 17% that opted out of yesterday afternoon. And that's, when I say that, it's a 4-week suspension that they could just click in the email. If they want to suspend longer than that, they actually have to come in and physically see us. Look, we're getting asked the same question. So all of the inquiries that we had this afternoon on the phone about joining were, what are your procedures? So we just went through, there's 2 contact traces. You've got to do the book on the app, swipe at the front door. You're only allowed here for an hour. Then we explained to them how we know what areas they're in to make them feel comfortable, and just went through all of that kind of discussion. Then the next question is always about the mask. So we got our protocol with the mask is, if you're huffing or puffing and you feel uncomfortable with it, because everybody's different with the mask when they're exercising, you don't have to wear the mask. And if you've got a chronic illness or a medical exemption, then obviously you don't need to wear the mask. So like in my situation, I've got a medical exemption from wearing a mask, but I still choose to wear it because I'm an example in the club. But most of all, everybody has loved coming into the club. We received heaps of donuts and chocolates and things like that on opening day. But no, it's really, really positive. And we have to keep pushing positivity out on our social media. And we need to look at the types of people who are now coming into our club. So my insights on Facebook, 25 and over, it's like sky high, absolutely sky high. Women, 25 and over, I think it was like 65%, and the rest were men. And then it started to trickle down around about the 50, 55. 25 and under was pretty low. Everything was 25 and over, say to about 42, 43, sky high. So these guys have obviously got the income to buy memberships. They get why they've got to be healthy. Where the young guys, different story.
We found an influx of the over 55s.
Yeah, so we've got veterans, Megan. So the veterans, and if I look out now, the majority of people on the treadmills, they're all over 30. Yeah. We've got a good, because we're a non-intimidating culture here, we have a lot of, you know, over 25, 35, my age, 55 people coming into the club. The younger guys tend to go to the clubs where it's just gym, no classes, no well-being, you know, pictures all over the walls of, you know, 6-packs and stuff like that. And that's not our culture. We never set out to be that.
No, for sure. Yeah, us either. It's all about making them feel comfortable. And just to touch on your comment earlier, Mel, with regards to having people come back in and making that connection, and how it's been huge this week. We work in conjunction with a EAP system, an employee assistance program, and that's really, we've seen a huge influx of calls on that. So that's suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And we're really looking to bridge that gap right now. We're looking to put a gym in Victoria because of that reason, on site at one of our health and wellness programs. So, I mean, we're seeing a huge influx of the EAP system, which means that as fitness professionals, we can really assist with being that bridge. And I've never had this many calls come through to us. So it's been a really busy week. And I believe it's only going to get busier. And I mean, it's fantastic that you've got people continuing to come in and that you guys are doing all that you can for that connection component. Like you mentioned in the example, if he had someone else to talk to, it could have made all the, you know, could make all the difference. So that's what we've been busy doing, rather than diving even into people's finances. It's just speaking to them and assisting them to get out again now that, you know, you get more than an hour of exercise. So it's been huge.
Social interaction, not just us with our members, but with our peers, is really, really important now. Because I sort of feel that the members have got their stuff together better than actually our fitness business owner friends. So I think that we really need to be there for them as opposed to our members. Because we've sort of, I won't use the word spoil, but you think about lockdown, our members have had Facebook Live classes, personal training, outdoor boot camps, they've had all of these things delivered to them, fitness apps that they can download on the Apple Store. What have fitness business owners had given to them throughout lockdown? They've had an enormous amount of responsibility put on them to look after their members, but who's been looking after them? When you think about how many facilities that we've got, who's been looking after them?
Hey guys, and you know what? And the rest of Australia, you know, is kind of looked after Victoria a little bit in the sporting industry. I mean, they allowed Melbourne to win the grand final in the NRL, and you know, and you know, and the Tigers, the Richmond Tigers, you know, everybody stepped back to allow 2 Victorian sides to win down there as well. So, you know,
and the Melbourne Vixens, Richard, don't forget.
And the Vixens, yeah, there you go. So, you know, so I mean, it goes on, you know. So we are trying, Mel. You know, we are trying to, you know, reaching out.
Look, I was at that game. It was great.
Megan, you know how you mentioned the EAP services? I know usually the uptake's been pretty low in that, so like 18 to 20%. Have you seen how much of do you have any idea on how much that's increased from?
Yeah, and ours was about even lower than what you mentioned, about 10 to 15, and it's doubled.
Okay, so it's doubled. Yeah, right. Because that's always, it's interesting that that's gone up. There's always been a stigma attached. It's not prior to COVID, it's not been a hugely successful uptake. So it's just interesting to hear that that's doubled, and maybe long term, you know, the stigma's going from the mental health thing, it's being acknowledged, and longer term, it's from maybe it'll start being accepted as a really good approach, you know?
Absolutely. And I find it interesting that its uptake has increased as the restrictions are being lifted, you know? So it's everything going.
Yeah, I think like the bank.
That's going up.
Yeah. And I think that as the economy is not going to improve for a good couple of years. So I think the stress levels are probably going to continue in the financial areas, if not exponentially.
Megan, I guess that's a really interesting point that you make, that, you know, the help is needed now that lockdown's over and they're trying to get back. And taking on board what Mel said as well, if we think about the fitness professional, the average fitness professional that's out there, the average group fitness instructor, the average personal trainer, not the good ones, the average ones. Can you imagine some of the conversations that members are going to have with these average people that work in our businesses, and going to what their expectation of feedback from the staff is going to be? Like, I just cannot imagine.
Do you mean
the psychology of that average fitness professional and how they'll cope?
The capacity to cope with that sort of a level of conflict? Because if I think about when I started my business, I was 21. I would have been useless at I mean, not, of course I wouldn't have been useless, but really, yeah, not great at handling those sort of
That's
responsibilities. And what do you say when you've got no life experience yet at that age? So the majority of our industries are in their 20s. Would that be correct?
Well, I think if we talk the average
Yeah.
trainer
Yeah.
who might deal with 80% of the population,
yeah.
it's going to be it's going to be hard.
Mm, mm.
I
Yeah,
said to Edwina the other week that you think about this. Our staff have been in lockdown at home themselves, the majority of them. I was lucky I had 2 on JobKeepers, but the rest have been in lockdown. Our members are going to come in and push their negative mental health onto our staff by going, oh, this happened to me and I put on 10 kilos, and all of that negativity is then going to be pushed on to our staff, who are supposed to be the listening tool, because that's how we're portrayed in the fitness industry. So now as an employer, I have to now ensure that the mental health of my staff is like looked after, because I'm not going to be able to control the member coming in and going, this happened and this happened and this happened. And they're taking on all of this while they're trying to meet their job description. So what I'd like to see from the fitness industry, because I'm not qualified in this, is some type of workshop or something for club owners to be able to look after their staff, or give them some resources and tools for them to look after the member that's going to come in and drop all of this onto them.
So it's about empowerment, isn't it? It's about, giving your staff the tools to be able to deliver the end result for the client.
And I've got something I'm going to be contributing to the industry in about 3 weeks now. So.
Oh, there's a scoop. There's a scoop happening live.
Finally.
Yeah.
That's why she got a haircut.
You're on it. Yeah, that's it. And I think some of that, I'll certainly be making some offers that might not have been on the table, but recognizing where the industry's at. I'm definitely going to put some freebies out for the fitness industry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on you.
I know that you got another guest, so I'll get off. But thanks for bringing me onto the show. I just wanted you guys to know what was happening in Victoria. Download the guidelines and have a look, and let's hope that all of these websites all match up by
In 2 weeks' time, who knows? Might have another 5 documents.
Hey, Mel, do you think they'll get them matched up? And I don't mean this with any disrespect at all to regional Victoria, but do you think they've kind of just put it all together at the last minute, which is probably possible, but by the time they get to opening Melbourne
Metro
CBD area, that they'll have their shit together? Or do you think it'll still be hickledy-pickledy in another week and a bit?
I think they're using regional Victoria as a template for Metro.
Right.
That's what I think they're doing. I think they're going to leave regional like this until they've got no choice but to go further with Metro. And they're going to look at the gym industry regional and say, what happened down here? All right, so what are we going to do over here? I believe that they want both regional and Metro fitness industry to join together. I'd say that we were a template. If I was the Premier, I would use regional as a template, but I would have let us open with better.
But Mel,
the Premier, things would be way different.
Yeah, guys, but the interesting thing about this, and this is part of the frustration, I guess, from my angle, is that this has already happened in other states, right? So, why don't they take what's happened, like a template from New South Wales or from, it's not about reinventing the wheel. The information's already there. It's about bringing it all together and matching it.
Richard, stop it. They're fucking stupid.
It's you think about it. They're all been going along doing their own thing. And it's almost like, oh, I'm boss of my own situation now.
Correct.
I'm going to do it better than everybody else. This is a little bit about ego from every state, not just Victoria.
I don't know.
State. Because if it was about doing the right thing by all of the industries nationally, they would collaborate together as a team. But they haven't. See, Victoria should be looking at what's been going on in the other states, picking up the phone and going, what worked in New South Wales? What didn't work in New South Wales? What worked in, but they don't do that because everybody wants to be the knight on the big white Palomino horse that comes in and says, I saved my state. I did it better than anybody else. Well, you know what? They all did a shit job because a whole lot of businesses lost money. That's the reality of it.
And
They all
continue.
did a shit job.
Yeah, I'd say that, Megan. And
The only states that did better were the ones with no population.
They received the personal
And
call.
look at Tasmania. Everyone picks on Tassie. Look at what a great job they're doing right now. They're open. They're a fully functional business. Tassie is a business model on its own.
Mm.
Ask yourself why.
Mm.
Exactly. And, you know, I don't know what's happening in our other state, New Zealand, but it would be, I think they're probably doing a fairly decent job over there as well. Would that be right, Megan?
Yeah, we're open and we're rocking. So New Zealand's going really well at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that we could learn from New Zealand as well.
Have you got many restrictions in the gym's operations?
No,
Wow.
nothing like what we've discussed. Very similar to Queensland, actually. So
You're in the
important.
right place.
Yeah.
Places.
Our gyms are in the right. Yeah, I'm not in the right places. They're in the right places at the moment. I'm sorry, Mel. Like that is just insane to me.
Hey, Mel, you're fresh off a public holiday before the grand final. Do you get another public holiday on Tuesday for the Melbourne Cup?
Oh, so here's the other part.
Yeah,
Because Ballarat couldn't have their famous Ballarat show and had to cancel their Ballarat show, council, without speaking to businesses, said to themselves, hey, guess what? Let's make Ballarat Show Day Melbourne Cup Day. So we've never, ever, 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 ever had Melbourne Cup Day off because we have Ballarat Cup. So now Ballarat Show Day has been moved to Melbourne Cup Day, but Ballarat's not having a show. But we're having Ballarat Show Day on Melbourne Cup Day. So
I shouldn't laugh, but that's pretty funny.
Sounds like Australian public holidays. Let's just throw it in the air and see what comes back.
the kids all just went back to school, and my receptionist came in and said, hey, guess what? My son's got 5 days off now, but he just went back to school like 10 days ago.
Oh, no.
Long weekend for the kids.
Work that out. Work that out.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really, really great strategy going on in Victoria on all levels by the sound of it.
Yeah, I know. And my husband keeps looking at houses for sale on the Gold Coast and says, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Be a good
You
time
just
to do it.
can't get in
we're
there.
very
You buy, but you can't live there.
Are you ready to go? So, no, we're stuck in Victoria. We've got a grandchild now, so we're stuck in Victoria.
Aww.
Well,
It's a great time. It's really great time
It is.
for grandchildren, you know. But yeah, look, I mean, it's sort of everybody's moving out of the cities, and we're seeing here. I'm in Newcastle, and we're seeing a lot of people buying properties in regional areas, you know. So moving out of the city, they now realise they can work from home, and it's okay. And they're moving out into regional areas, you know. So it's you know, there's a big influx into Coffs Harbour and all of the places in between, Tamworth, all of these regional areas, you know, and you know, so relocation. So we might be able to buy some cheap houses in the cities.
Well, Richard, there's a lot of people out buying gyms at the moment.
mm.
A lot of people out buying gyms at the moment.
I've heard
Really?
that too.
Yeah,
Right
we've had a couple of people look at our club. We've
Yeah.
actually had 2 people interested in buying the whole kit.
Is that correct?
So the money's there. Wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys,
I'll
it's
let
pretty
you go. I know you've got another guest.
So I don't know whether they might have got the time. They might have got the time difference wrong. They're coming from different sides of the world.
But
Yeah, I reckon he's fast asleep.
Yeah. Lucky you
Yeah.
came, Mel.
yeah, thank you,
Thanks
Mel.
for joining us.
That's
Greatly
okay.
appreciate it.
That's
Hey,
okay.
listen, and guys, we're always open to questions, you know, from out there in public land, you know. So, you know, if anybody's got any questions, you know, shoot them through, and we'll try and answer them as best we can with the, you know, with what we've got from the experience that we've got here on the show today. But thanks again, Mel, for coming along. We are concerned about what's happening down there in Victoria. And I know a lot of businesses out there, a lot of fellow members, if you want to call them, in the fitness industry are all sort of, saying to us, what is it that we can do, because we are united, or we should be united, and we should be pushing the buttons of these government people and saying enough's enough.
I agree. We need a financial relief package. That's the message that the industry now needs to move forward with. We've got the safe bit happening. As I said in a clip the other day, Dan Andrews ticked us off as being a safe environment. We know that. So now we need a financial relief package here in Victoria.
Yeah, beautiful.
You reckon you'll get one, Mel?
It's a real tough one to answer. He did say in one of his presses a couple of weeks ago he would help out those industries that were stuck. I keep badgering, and I do that pretty well, as you all know. I keep badgering, other associations to put more pressure on to make that discussion happen. They keep telling me that they are having those discussions. I don't know. They don't ask us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's been a survey done or a poll done, or Fitness Australia, Vic Active, FitRec, Physical Activity, and ESSA. It's not like they've all got together and gone out to the club owners and go, what do you think you should be getting in return? I've registered myself with Carboni Lawyers, who are taking a class action here in Victoria. So I've registered with them. I've also put in, if anybody else is interested in doing this, I've also put in a claim for insurance, even though it is classed as a pandemic. So I strongly suggest to club owners to get in touch and just go, no, put it in, make a claim for disruption to business. But though I'm hearing that people that are leading the way in the industry are having these discussions with government, I haven't actually seen anything in writing. Like, no one sort of, not that they have to come to Mal, if that makes sense, but I haven't seen anybody go, this is what we're asking for. What do you think? Or even seen something come up in the media. So it's like there's this talk, but nothing's actually happened. Even if they give us a cash injection, like they gave hospitality, what was it, $3,000 or $5,000 to set up outdoor entertaining areas. So there hasn't even been that.
Yeah.
It's quite a bizarre situation. I keep saying, are you guys asking for this? You guys, because as a female, very, very difficult to get your ass in any conversation.
How do you know that that's because you're a female, Mel? I'm really interested in that. I mean, the
Well,
stats show it, but how do you know?
Because I've asked the question. Are there club operators discussing this with people that are making decisions? Yes, they are. I'm here. Can I get my bum on the table? Nothing. I'm the only female sitting on a lobby group of 10 at the moment. So that's something for you to think about. I'll put word out there. I've spoken to the MPs about where are the women helping making some of these decisions. You think about it, man, like, women are the biggest spenders in the health and fitness and beauty industry. Get us back to work so we can get a wage to spend money. That's going to help our economy here in Victoria recover. That only makes sense. But we can't even get a word. Like, I've spoken to a couple of state MPs and I've said, can you get me a foot in the door, like, with someone, with the health minister, with the deputy Cho, like, if Fitness Australia and the other associations had these Zoom meetings with these people, where were the females?
Are they all males that you're speaking to with government in the government?
The state MPs are all females, so I do play on that women's, like, we need more women. But even they've come back and they've said, obviously, Dan's a male, Brett Sutton's a male, Alan Chung is a male, but they take their advice from the female scientists that give them the information. But where are the women when they actually take the pen to paper to write up these guidelines? Where are the industry professionals when they go to write these guidelines? If I had to write guidelines for a cafe, I would go get a cafe owner and say, what do you think of this? Does this work for your business? But I'm not seeing that. I appreciate, you know, that Fitness Australia have done a phenomenal effort in trying so hard for our industry. But perhaps the people that are representing Fitness Australia aren't club owners. Maybe they just need to go to a club owner. Tell me how your business operates every day, and we're going to go and talk to these people. Does this make sense?
But you know, do you really have to be a gym owner to know that 20 people in a whole gym centre? I mean, it doesn't even.
Where did that number come from, though, Edwina? This is the thing. Where did the number come from originally? Was
That's
it
been
COVID plan?
that number's been internationally bandied around. So I don't know where it's come from either, Mel. I got no idea, but I know 20 seems to be fairly consistent across different countries.
Yeah, it is in Canada as well.
And I don't understand
Where they
how
got
they
it.
came up with that. It's like how they come up with 2 weeks on a virus that
Yeah.
no one knew anything about.
Well, guys, if we go back a couple of sessions ago, and we had Dallas Roskelly, Planet Fitness, you know, and he made a lot of noise through local members and media and the newspapers and whatnot, and he certainly stirred the pot up substantially through New South Wales, you know, but he was, you know, speaking on behalf of the industry, and you know, in my discussion with him was, you know, what made you and who, you know, ring a politician, you know, and he said, well, in desperation, you know, somebody's got to step up and do something, you know, and say something. So, Mel, what I say is, you know, like if you feel the need, which I guess we all do, and we need to have more women in these kind of roles, maybe we've got to go to people like who do make that noise, which are, you know, some of the federal MPs, like maybe a Jackie Lambie type person, or a Pauline Hanson, you know, and say, listen, enough's enough. What can we do, or how can you actually help us as well? You know, let's bypass our local people or our state people and
But
go
I did,
higher.
Richard, I went to the female federal MP and I go, where are the women? Where are the women sitting at the table to help make some of these decisions or get some type of feedback from them? And
Yep.
it's almost like, and this is a terrible thing to say, but it's almost like sometimes the women politicians are sitting on the fence too, because they want to hang out with the cool kids and they don't want to upset anybody. I mean, we're in a shit position here in Victoria. Can it get any freaking worse by getting some advice from some females?
Well, I
the,
think
the
yeah, sorry.
CEO of Anytime Fitness is a female,
Yep.
and she's been on every discussion since she got in the hot seat in the middle of COVID. She's been in all of the discussions. Although I don't know, I think I'm right in saying this, she might be the only female CEO.
Yeah, see?
We should have a chat to her. It'd be interesting to see. We should try and get her on. I'd love to see what.
Although Elaine Jobson's the boss of Jets, so she would have been involved feeding up that information.
Yeah, no,
Do you see the two common themes there? Do you see what the common theme is there?
What?
that they're owned, franchises owned by men.
No,
So you're
anytime.
saying, Mel, that, you know, you'd want to see some independent gym owners involved in that?
Yeah,
Ah,
absolutely.
got it.
Independence. Yep. Some single. What about these sole operators that got absolutely nothing whatsoever off government for 6 months? Not a single cent.
Mhm.
You know, I know one here in Ballarat couldn't get out of bed for over a week. So,
Well, I
you know,
do that Fitness Australia, in their most recent search for a new board of directors, one of the exact positions was a private gym owner.
yeah.
So
He
they are
sits in the-
looking
yeah,
to
I know. He sits in the.
get that on the board, and I think that's going to be really powerful.
But that doesn't fix the situation now, Megan, because if that person gets on the board, that's not going to be until December or something.
Do you really think that's the cause, Samuel? I just think there's so much dysfunction everywhere. I don't know if it's a. I don't
Oh,
know.
absolutely.
I'm not
But
convinced. You had all female state ministers, so I don't know if that's the cause. I mean, I don't know, but I just.
I think it's one of the.
well, you know what? What's happening right now is not working. So
Yeah.
let's look at something else and let's try something else. Now, I just said just a moment ago, women are the biggest spenders in our industry and in the beauty industry. They're going to help our state recover, aren't they? Yeah, economically, of course they're going to help us. So let's hear from them.
No, agree.
Let's hear from them.
Don't do-
Pull them
don't
up
do
out of
it.
our industry. Where is Diane Williams from Fernwood? Like, I don't even know if she's had any interaction with you know, any of the associations, or has anybody rang her? I mean,
I spoke with Di about 3 weeks ago, and I know she's been involved in having conversations. I don't know whether it's with Fitness Australia, but I know she's
Yeah.
been talking to Greg at FLG.
yeah.
Well,
Well, the call's going out, I guess, guys. You know, for them to, you know, if we've got, you know, women out there in the industry that are listening, you know, come forward. You know, talk to us, and you know, we want it. We want this is an open forum here, and we want to hear from people, you know, from all sort of walks of life, you know, in the industry. You know,
I think the point that Mel made really early today, and is now, you know, really pertinent, is there's probably lots of conversations going on all over the place and taking us as an industry perhaps in different directions. And we don't know, like no one knows who's talking to who, whereas we kind of need to get, particularly for Victoria, if
Yeah.
you're going to get lobbying the government to get some financial packages, everybody's got to come together behind whoever
Correct.
or whatever and drive forward, and not have all these, not have F45
Silos. Yeah.
Body Fit having a conversation, all the franchises having conversations, independents having. We've just got to get everybody in
Together.
100%.
fight
Yeah.
to get money from the government if that's the case.
That's correct, JT. So, you know, the last couple of sessions that we've had have been around exactly that, hasn't it? You know, about, you know, all getting together, spearheading this in a direction instead of shooting like a shotgun.
Good point, Mel, about the franchise, because in a franchise group, you've got the support of that group, and it's individual operators that don't have that. You don't have the whole unit there to
Which was my point.
yeah, and they don't
That
have.
was my point when I was on the Zoom meeting with the state MP that Barry Elvish actually ended up on. And I said, hold on a moment, this guy's with Jets, because we had a Jets owner on there. He's got the support of his head office. She's got the support of some, but everybody else here has the support of nobody. And it's those nobodies that we're going to lose that aren't going to reopen in 2021. The fitness industry cannot be run by franchise. We have to still have the independents. We still have to have, you know, the PT contractors. We still need all of these people in our industry because our consumers seek out all those people. We're just not touching into these guys enough. And part of the problem is their fault also, because they feel embarrassed to reach out. So though it was great to have Barry on the Zoom call and nobody knew he was coming, the feedback from the independents was the moment they saw him, and Justin said this earlier, or Richard said it earlier, it was like, I don't want everybody to know my business now. This was just supposed to be 10 club operators in Ballarat that just finally felt confident with each other. And now there's another person there and I don't really know that person. And so everybody just sort of clammed up and told their story, but that's as far as it went as their story. And then the rest of the pressure was put on the state MP for her to do something. I just think, we just need to worry about the little guy. You know, it's like the milk bar. Remember, we all forgot about the milk bar and 7-Eleven became the place to go. And what happened to the milk bar? Now there are apartments on every corner.
Yeah. Well, Richard, I think that's time, but this has been an awesome discussion. I think we should ask everybody to leave comments below, and if they want to jump on in 2 weeks' time, to drop us a line.
Great idea.
Great. Thanks, Mel.
Oh, I feel like I took over your whole show. Sorry.
Great. Victoria's where it's all happening this week, so it was perfect. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Mel. That was really interesting.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
But if anyone's listening, guys, please make sure that you go do your own homework. Don't take what I said for gospel, because it's just, you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to go do your own homework and make your own decisions.
Yeah.
Sure. And reach out to the right people, ask us questions. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So guys, enjoy your weekend. Mel, we're thinking of you guys down there. You know, please all stay in touch, look after each other. And let's keep this conversation going and see you all again in a fortnight.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye.